Hey, folks, welcome to What the hell are we called again?
Consuls of the people.
Welcome to Consuls of the People, everyone.
We're keeping that in.
We're keeping it. It's
there. It is. That's the intro.
Boom. Enjoy. How more regular can you get?
Exactly. No prep. No script.
You want real voice of the people? Come here every week.
Every week. Very optimistic, but we'll try.
I'm going strong. I'm rooting for us.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So we got this article from the New York Post, which we agreed was pretty serious, especially on the international scale, because it discusses President Biden's attitude about the Uyghur genocide in China. So I'm going to read it, and then we're going to discuss it. So let's do this. Published February 17th, 2021, by the lovely Emily Jacobs. Let me actually see if she's actually lovely. There's no picture. I feel stupid. But let's get started. So, title of the article is Biden dismisses Uyghur genocide as part of China's different norms, in quote. President Biden is dissing the genocide against the Uyghur population in China, dubbing the mass internment a different norm. Despite the State Department this month responding to, in quote, atrocities in the camps, following reports of systematic assault and torture.
So this
Be
is
very careful with what words we use.
This is something that, so it's clear that the State Department recognizes this as something that's not very kosher, I guess we'll say. And, so, it's one thing when you dismiss something that's called a genocide because you don't think it's a genocide, or not because you don't think... Start over. It's one thing if you dismiss something that somebody has called a genocide if it's not widely recognized as happening. But the State Department is recognizing that this is going on.
Well, and I think that's the bigger issue here, especially, and again, I'm not into the conspiracies, and honestly, what Hunter Biden did in China is no one's business. He was a private citizen. Do I think it's a little inappropriate that the vice president at the time was escorting him around? Yes. But at the same time, it's his business. But I think this really reads more to this, coming from the right, opinion on Biden of him being soft to China. And we're already seeing a lot of this. Like, I feel he's done a lot of gestures made out to look like he's being tough on China. But, calling genocide a different norm that's not okay.
And I'm sure the article gets more into what specifically he was talking about.
Well, let's continue. The commander-in-chief made remarks after being asked during his CNN town hall Tuesday evening about his recent conversations with his Chinese counterpart, starting his response by relaying Xi's justification for the abuses. We're off the flying colors already. If you know anything about Chinese history, it has always been the time when China has been victimized by the outer world is when they haven't been unified at home, Biden began. That's disturbingly ironic.
Hasn't China fractured half a dozen times because of internal conflicts?
Literally, I think it's something like every 20... That's the whole idea with the Chinese empires, was the dynastic rule, how the climbing the mountain and then the dynasty would fall and a new dynasty would come in.
Yeah, they unified internally without external influences, but I feel like a lot of the times they fractured was also due to internal issues.
Well, China's big issue...
That statement doesn't ring true to me. The one that we just read from Biden.
Well, the thing with China is... I've watched a lot of people like China, like this group that they discuss what's going on in China and Chinese history. And China went from being the world power, because if you think about this, the Crusades, remove the BS the Pope said about it being reclaiming the Holy Lands. The Crusades were strictly to take the Silk trade routes to China. And that's why countries like Egypt during Greek time was so important. It's to control that trade route to China, because China was the world superpower during the medieval ages and ancient times.
Yeah, I mean, I will say that controlling trade routes to India was also important.
Well, of course.
But
now,
like, the Silk Road was massively... Like, we talk about, like, we learn in school all these, like, superpowers. We think of Rome, we think of, like, ancient Greece, we think of the Ottomans, we think of, but, like...
We think Western world.
Right, but China was just as big as most of them long before any of them even existed.
But this is where we get into this, where China became isolationists, because what happened was, when the age of exploration happened, you saw countries like England, Portugal, France colonizing India and Africa and the New World, so no one needed China anymore. So China closed their gates while the rest of the world industrialized and moved forward. And then when Commodore Perry went to Japan, and then Japan went to China with the rest of the Western powers, China was now the weak country. We saw this with, like, the Opium Wars and the Boxer Rebellion. So by the time Communist China came around, they weren't only facing a domestic issue, international issue, they were facing an eternal issue, because they were literally, for the last 200 years, the whipping boy of the world. And they're like, F that, we were that's probably gonna get us in trouble, but they were probably like, screw that, we were the superpower, we want to be the superpower again. And that's what's, I do believe that's what's pushing Xi Jinping in this direction, because the thing is, China is not a communist government. The CCP might be called the Chinese Communist Party. There are more facets of fascism in the way the CCP rules than communism. Or Leninism, more so to speak, or Stalinism. They rule off a strong nationalism. Because if you go to China and you ask someone, where are they? They're going to say, I'm Chinese, not I'm a communist.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I don't think anyone is arguing, or not anyone, I don't think most people are arguing that, like, Stalinist Russia wasn't communist, and it certainly displayed elements of, like, extra nationalism and fascism and whatnot. Maybe not fascism specifically, but, like, it displayed similar elements to that.
Yeah.
And probably even more so than China does now.
Well, Russia, you could literally debate saying Russia, the current Russian state under Vladimir Putin, is a fascist state.
No, there's no look. What happened with Putin's running, like, the opponent he was running against? Didn't he claim he was poisoned or something?
Oh no, he wasn't. He was.
Anyways,
he was poisoned.
I guess we're getting a bit off topic talking about Biden.
Russia.
Guess making an offhand remark about China's past that we maybe don't agree with.
Okay, well, so back to the article. So Biden began. So the central Xi Jinping is that there must be a united, tightly controlled China, and he uses this rationale for the things he does based on that. Now, I personally, and I feel like this is a much moderates as well as conservatives believe this, that is no excuse. In the United States, of course we're not a united people right now. Half the country wanted Trump, half the country wanted Biden. But at the same time, if your rationale for uniting your country is by genociding a quarter of the people, specifically in Xingyang, that's literally like National Socialists saying, we need to unite Germany, we just need to get rid of these people to make that happen.
Yeah, and I'll say that the central principle, as he put it, that there must be a united, tightly controlled China, isn't in itself a bad idea necessarily, right? Like it's not
No, not
really
at all.
that sentiment is fine. It's just the fact that this is being said in relation to what's going on with China and what they're doing with the Uyghur people is kind of silly.
Well, exactly. And, a lot of people make the Holocaust comparison with things. Like, when people were saying that Donald Trump was the new Hitler and stuff like that, that was very inappropriate, because if he was the next dictator, he was one of the worst dictators I've ever seen. Because I've never seen someone who's actually given power back to the people be a dictator. But this literally is the Holocaust, what's going on. They are going after not only a minority, a religious minority in their country, because they think they're a threat to them. And I think what's most upsetting about this is 8 years ago, we had all these celebrities and everyone who came out when people were like, oh, Islamic terror, you can't judge all Islamic people. But it's like, okay, where are you now when the Chinese government is doing this to these poor people in Xingyang? These are Muslims. They are murdering these people. And that's my biggest issue here, especially because Joe Biden got the support of all the very same celebrities who, during the Obama administration, was angry when people were saying Islamic terrorism.
But re-education camps, I guess, important to these
unity.
Important to Chinese unity.
Alright, let's keep going. China, a nation that has faced a wave of international scrutiny over the past few years relating to its activities in dismantling democracy in Hong Kong, which we were threatened a few weeks ago, if we recall, from China about that, and its refusal to accept responsibility for negligence and a lack of transparency at the onset of the coronavirus outbreak, has not let global tensions stop its mass internment of Uyghurs in Xinjiang province. I point out to him, no American president can be sustained as a president if he doesn't reflect the values of the United States, the U.S. president continued. And so the idea is that I am not going to speak out against what he's doing in Hong Kong. What he's doing with the Uyghurs in western mountains of China and Taiwan, trying to end the one China policy by making it forceful. Z gets it.
Now that statement, to me, I want to interject there, feels so... like it feels contradictory in and of itself. So he starts out by saying that no American president can be sustained as president if he doesn't reflect the values of the United States. And then he goes on to continue that he's not going to condemn what's going on in Hong Kong. A bit like, you're not going to support free speech, sure. What he's doing with the Uyghurs in the western mountains of China and Taiwan. Oh, okay, so what, are we going to go back to the U.S. principles of we're okay with internment camps? Because my impression was that, like, power to the people is more of an American value than than allowing China to do whatever they want with, freedom of religion. Nah, this isn't. Look, it's more important that we sustain our values as an American by not condemning this blatant breach of the principle of freedom of religion.
Yeah, well, this is the issue. It's like he's making excuses for him. Like, Z gets it. Like, what are you guys, buddies? are you bros? Like, first of all, Taiwan, and this is what's crazy. Taiwan is an independent nation. China should have zero discussion on Taiwan.
Yeah, don't we as a country I know a lot of countries, particularly China, don't recognize Taiwan, and I know when we as a country have dealings with China that we do pretend like, oh yeah, China and Taiwan is one country, whatever. But don't we recognize Taiwan as its own independent country?
Taiwan represented China on the Security Council until I think like 1980. Like, this is what makes me very uncomfortable and why I'm very upset with the Biden administration as of right now. Because I'm looking and I have what's called the 6-month rule. I don't judge a president until 6 months. Because I really can't condemn anything they're doing because they're just feeling the water on how everything's going. But stuff like this, it's like, dude, Taiwan and Hong Kong need us more than ever right now. And you're literally, it's literally like we were the knight in shining armor standing between these people and the dragon of China. And now we're like, okay, let's switch out the knight. Biden steps in as the new knight and goes, actually, you know what? Take him. And steps out of the way.
It was like Biden stepped in and was like, we're thinking, all right, maybe he'll stand up for like the Uyghurs and whatnot. And then he goes, you know what? Actually, I think the dragon has a really good point. Maybe he should eat these innocent civilians.
Exactly. And, you know, it really hurts, especially because I am a proud American, regardless who the president is. I think Teddy Roosevelt said, you should be proud being American, and it does not matter who the president is to be proud to be an American. But you know when it wasn't proud to be an American? In 1930 and 1940, when there were people fleeing here saying, please help us, this guy is going to kill us. And we were like, no, go back. You're overreacting, go away. And then in 1944 and 45, we found out, oh my god, he actually did what he said he was going to do. Like, and that's what hurts, is these people from Taiwan, these Uyghurs, these Hong Kongians are coming to us saying, please, please help us. These guys are going to kill us, please. And Biden he's like FDR. It's fine. He's not going to do it. It's okay. Nothing's going to happen. And that's what's upsetting about this most of all. It's appeasement.
Absolutely is. And then I guess the next quote is the where the title comes from.
Yeah. Culturally, there are different norms that each country and their leaders are expected to follow, he continued. The norms, in quote, in China, are shown in a recent BBC new expose, including systematic torture and assault occurring in the Uyghur concentration camps. Following the release of the BBC report, China banned the outlet in its territories.
So we have a lack of free speech, a violation of human rights, a violation of freedom of religion, which, sure, there is no freedom of religion in China, but, like, as an American, we obviously hold that as something that is important.
Do they have religion?
What was that?
Do they have religion? Like, I know Xi Jinping had all those monuments made to, like, Confucius and stuff, but do they have a religion?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know that it's one, like you could say America is very much a Christian nation, but I don't know about.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know.
I would say
China's population, like, religious background.
I would say we're Abrahamic, because all the religions share, I guess, that level of Abraham in it, right?
Yeah. So Abrahamic, you've got Christianity, Judaism, Islam. Flip those around, because Islam is much bigger than Judaism. But
well, yeah. Well, it's kind of shocking too, because I feel like Judaism is a very, like, big religion. I feel like there are a lot of Jewish people in the world,
and that's your upbringing, where you're from, coming out there.
Yeah. Oh my God, you're so right.
Like, if you look at the population of, like, Jews across the U.S., it's just, like, New York metro area and, like, in around that area.
That's so true. That's so true. That's so true. Yeah, so, I love Jewish people. The bagels are great.
Oh, absolutely. They did Long Island good with those.
Seriously, you know what? Joke on the Germans. They not to make light of what happened, but they screwed up.
But to go back to our earlier point, I just briefly checked the numbers, and I don't know how accurate this is, but apparently the breakup is about half of the population is religiously unaffiliated, so what I would call probably atheist.
Agnostics, probably.
Yeah, probably. Chinese folk religion makes up about a fifth to a quarter of the population.
So it's probably like Buddhism and stuff?
No, Buddhism is separate, which makes up which makes up about a fifth of the population as well.
Okay.
And then the Abrahamic religions make up about 7%.
Wow, that's actually a lot more than I was expecting.
Yeah, so that's largely unreligious compared to the rest of the world.
True. Well, but, back onto the article, though. The norms in China, that's insanity. Like, before we started this, we made a little bit of a comment, be like, that doesn't make it okay. Like, the norms in China being genocide, you could say the same thing. Oh, well, we actually didn't have the right to fight the Germans or do anything because Germany and Austria had histories of persecution of Jews, as did Russia. So that's just the norm. That's not how things work. Yeah, just because it was wrong back then.
We don't pass moral judgment on things based on whether or not it's normal.
Yeah. It's like, oh, well, Shias and Sunni Muslims have always killed each other, so it's okay that they're still doing it. No, that's not how that works. Northern Irish and Protestant Irish and Catholic Irish hate each other. They've been killing each other. That's okay. It's normal. No, it's not normal or okay.
I mean, I guess normal it might be, but that's a problem.
Yeah, it shouldn't be normal.
Right. And this is... I'm honestly, when I heard about this, I was kind of shocked that he would, dismiss what's going on that, and the saddest thing is that he's not even you could have plausible deniability, maybe not plausible, but you could have some form of deniability if you went, oh, I don't think that's going on, right?
Oh, no, he's admitting he knows exactly what's happening.
That's happening, and it's not a problem?
Exactly, that's the issue here.
You as an American should know this is a major issue, like a major global issue, that this is happening.
Yeah, back to the comparison of America during the 30s and 40s, we didn't physically see what was going on. FDR and Truman were like, oh, well, he just wrote it in the book, that doesn't mean it's actually happening. But then when we saw what happened, we're like, oh my god. We have evidence what they're doing to the Uyghurs. We've seen the videos. We hear the testimonies. And Biden's like, oh, well, it's just the norm. It's fine. They can do what they want. It's like, dude, what? What are you talking about?
All right. So where are we at with this?
Asked during the town hall whether there would be a repercussion for the CCP, Chinese Communist Party, over the genocide, President Biden sidestepped the question, saying, the U.S. would reassert our role as spokespersons for human rights at the UN and other agencies. Well, there will be repercussions for China, and Xi knows that. What I'm doing is making clear that we, in fact, are going to continue to reassert our role as spokespersons for human rights at the UN and other agencies that have an impact on their attitude, he said. Asked if China was not already too powerful to be stopped from its appalling human rights practices, Biden expressed confidence that human rights would win the day. China is trying very hard to become the world leader, and to get that moniker and be able to do that, they have to gain the confidence of other countries. And as long as they are engaged in activities that is contrary to basic human rights, it's going to be hard for them to do that. But it's much more complicated than that. I shouldn't try to talk about China policy in 10 minutes on television here.
That's an interesting take, because it seems from those quotes, you would expect that he actually recognizes that this is a breach of human rights and is, I guess, I don't understand how, this is such a stark difference in attitude than, the quotes from earlier in the article.
It's literally like him. He's gaslighting. Honestly, he's just being like, he's literally like an abuse victim who keeps going back to the abuser.
So he says, I am not going to speak out against what he's doing in Hong Kong, what he's doing with the Uyghurs in western mountains of China and Taiwan, trying to end the one China policy by making it forceful. So he's saying that he's not going to condemn that, and then goes on to say that he will be a champion for human rights in the UN. How do you reconcile those two, like, those are two opposed beliefs? You can't do both.
And the worst part is, he mentions China wanting to be wanting to become the world leader, and not saying that's not going to happen because America is going to hold that. It's like, dude, you're pretty much accepting what China wants. And also, this whole world leader has to be contrary to basic human they have to respect human rights. Do we forget that the Soviet Union was a world leader at one point? Did they care about human rights?
Yeah, like, we won out at the end of the day, sure, but, like, the fact that we won out is considered to be such an important thing because we as a country care about human rights. It's not because, like, we didn't win out because we care about human rights. We won out, and the fact that we won out was good because we care about it.
Honestly, to me, and I don't know what your opinion is on this, but I'm sorry, I'm drinking water as we're doing this. This is showing me a groundwork on how he's going to handle foreign policy against a country like China, and it really concerns me that it's appeasement, especially because every day that passes, we see more Chinese soldiers setting up on the Indian border. We see more Chinese soldiers setting up on the Straits of Taiwan. And it's like, what's going to happen? Are we going to have this situation that they're going to say, oh, we want Taiwan? They're going to send soldiers in, and we're going to be like, oh, okay, just take it, it's fine. Or
just
when
don't
they
go any
invade
further.
India, yeah, is it going to be like, well, don't do that? They're going to be like, he's going to be like Mitch McConnell. Well, slow down a little bit. Like, what's it going to take? They're literally murdering people, and he's like, well, that's their business, not ours. If you're in public and you watch a man punch a woman in the face and then drag her off, are you going to sit there and be like, okay, well, I don't know what's going on? Or are you like, hey, what are you doing? And try to get in his face?
No, look. This is a norm within their household.
But exactly, though. Exactly.
Look, this is a norm within our household. Sure, I'll speak up against domestic violence, but it's, look, he's trying to be the patriarch of his house.
This is literally the most enabling thing I have ever seen a person say. Oh, it's okay. It's just how they view it. It's just how they view it. And what's even wilder to me is that Jen Psaki, the press secretary, cannot give a definitive answer on how the country is going to stand up against China. Because so far, by his statements in this, he's 100% ready for China to take over. And that's really concerning.
Oh, but actually, by his statements from this, he's expecting that there's no way that China does take over. Like, he's not even taking, it's less of a he's ready for them to do it, and more of a he's not taking the chance that the threat that they could try seriously.
They said there was no way the Germans could take Europe, but they did that within 3 months. So,
I mean, to be fair, they lost, but at great cost to everyone.
Yeah, they said there was no way that Russia and Germany in World War I would go to war with each other, and well, we saw what happened. They said the Titanic wouldn't sink either. But okay, so let's keep going. White House spokesperson could not immediately be reached by the Post for comment. During his confirmation hearings last month, Secretary of State Anthony Blinken concurred specifically with outgoing Secretary of State Mike Pompeo. Wow, I just messed that up. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo and identifying Chinese government's treatment of Uyghur Muslims is a genocide, and said that there's been a strong and long bipartisan commitment to Taiwan, and the commitment to Taiwan is something that we hold very strongly. Biden has not publicly acknowledged receiving congratulatory phone call from Taiwan's president.
Absolutely disgraceful.
Unreal. You know what? And you and me have discussed this before, because I'm much more George Washington in my opinions on how America should be with world affairs, and you are much more, we have to remain the way we are.
Yeah, I'm more of an interventionist than not.
And I wouldn't even say I'm really an isolationist, but I think we need to chill a bit.
Mm-hmm.
This, though, is like, dude, what are you if this is going to be his pace of our foreign affairs, he's practically building a bridge. That fleet we have in the Straits of Taiwan is pretty much a bridge for the Chinese army to march into Taiwan. I'm not going to say he did, but President Trump allowed Hong Kong to fall. He did nothing to stop it. And we're seeing this again. And it's, at least I could give the Trump administration, they recognized Taiwan. They supported Hong Kong with sanctions against China. They've been backing India. Freaking India. Trump's not even president anymore. They're still cheering him on. But, like, it's crazy to me. This man is the president of the United States of America, the beacon of freedom in the world. And it literally feels like he's was given talking points from the Chinese Communist Party to say what to say about the Uyghur situation. And that's very concerning to me.
All right. So I guess that's our that's that article done. I don't have anything else to say on it.
All I gotta say, and last, and I probably know Biden won't hear this, but he probably should listen to someone, and if anyone close to the administration or anything hears this, tell him to get his stuff together, because he is the modern-day Neville Chamberlain with how he's acting right now.